Joining us now is filmmaker Ami Horowitz. Ami, thank you so much for your time. I'm really keen to get your thoughts on this world-changing operation. We've heard today from Secretary Pete Hegseth claiming that the US military has hunted down and killed the head of a unit which attempted to assassinate Donald Trump. Pete Hegseth also confirmed that a US submarine sank an Iranian naval ship off the coast of Sri Lanka, and Donald Trump is giving this operation a 15 out of 10.
If we didn't hit within 2 weeks, they would have had a nuclear weapon. If we didn't do the B-2 attack a number of months ago, they would have a nuclear weapon. It's a complete obliteration of their nuclear potential, and that set them back very, very seriously. Somebody said, on a scale of 10, where would you rate it? I said about a 15.
There you go. Ami, can I get your thoughts? What's your assessment of Operation Epic Fury?
Yeah, I'd expect nothing different from President Trump on how he rated himself in this war. But in this case, he happens to be totally right. Yeah. This was an absolutely incredible operation. You know, it's the exact opposite of how Russia is now perceived after the Ukraine war, right? Yeah. Going in, they thought that people looked at the Russian army as this formidable force, one of the great militaries of the world. Turned out they're a paper tiger, and that war exposed them. Well, this is the exact opposite. People are looking at the United States saying, you guys aren't a real threat anymore. You guys don't have the teeth anymore. And we proved them completely wrong. Look, we have destroyed Iran in every imaginable way possible. Like he said, the nuclear threat is no more. Their navy is in the bottom of the ocean. The leadership of Iran has been completely decimated. One of their main weapons that they had was their ballistic missiles. They spent so much time spending money on building out, right? And one of the things, by the way, that the Obama administration did not cover in his horrific Iran deal, that is no longer a thing. No, Iran will no longer be able to wage any kind of war against its neighbors whatsoever. They're completely denuded. And that's all thanks to President Trump taking one of the boldest foreign policy moves we have seen in decades. And that is not, Gabriella, that is not hyperbole. That is absolutely accurate. So yes, kudos, unbelievably executed. Great job.
This is such a good thing for the world, yet Democrats, they're mad that America is winning. Senator Ruben Gallego says that the US is no longer a world power after its strikes, and is, of course, blaming Israel for claiming to drag the US into this war.
I guess we're not a world power anymore. For me, I mean, look, I was in some pretty hard times during the war at a very young age. And it just drove me mad. The fact that these guys just went to war on somebody else's word. Nobody decided to say, hey, you know what is the best wishes of the men and women of my country first? Nobody decided to go to NATO and be like, guess what? Don't go to war. If you go to war, we're not going to give you the intelligence. We're not going to give you the support. We're not going to give you the bombs. All these things that you could have done. Instead, you say, you know what, we're going to go with you.
Ami, it's been so painful to listen to the Democrats being so miserable after Ayatollah Khamenei was killed. And we've been seeing Iranians celebrating right around the world. Yet we've heard from Democrats and some like Hakeem Jeffries saying, I know how it's going to end, and it's going to end badly. I don't think that's the truth. What's your reaction to the Democrats?
You know, that's so insidious. Right, to hear that, and you hear this across on the hard right and the left. By the way, not on the left. This notion that Israel dragged us into war. First of all, that is incredibly anti-Semitic. To say that again, it goes back to this canard of Jews controlling the world, controlling governments. Right, that's exactly what that shades of. And second of all, for the people on the right to say that. You're telling me that Donald Trump doesn't make decisions? You're telling me Donald Trump doesn't have agency? He is Mr. Agency. Nobody's dragging that guy into anything. But you know, Democrats, I got to ask you, when you take a position like this, you have to ask yourself, who are you standing with and who are you standing against? Okay? So in this case, you're standing against all of the Iranians. And I don't mean like a majority of Iranians. I mean universally. If you look across the board, not just in Iran, which has vast majority of support for this war because they do not like the regime, they never have. All the expatriates of Iranians all over the world are literally dancing in the streets, sometimes dancing the Trump dance for this. So you're standing against them. Who are you standing with? China, Russia, Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Are you comfortable with that company? I don't think you would, and you should be. And again, this idea of this was an unprovoked war. There's nothing unprovoked about it, okay? This is a regime that has been killing Americans, American citizens, American soldiers, our allies for years. This is a country that tried to assassinate Donald Trump, okay? So, yeah, this is not unprovoked. It is up to the president to choose when and where he decides to go after a regime, and he decided the time is now. There's nothing unprovoked about it. It is completely provoked.